Hey guys, welcome back. Stephen Edwards here again with another video blog. This week I want to talk to you about the 3 tools that you utilize constantly to create your reality. And they are your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Now, some people say that they don't create their reality. Well, I'm just going to prove to you that they do. If there's any doubt in your mind as to whether you create it or not. I use the analogy very often when I'm at an event where we have 2 people that come to the event. The first person walks in the room, they look around, they see all the other people there, and they go, oh, wow, look at this place. There's all these other people here, all these people are going to compete with me. They don't have enough Starbucks coffee, and they say this is going to be a bad experience. Second person walks in the room, they look around, see all the people there, they say, hey, this is going to be great. I'm going to meet new people, make new friends. I'm really looking forward to the weekend. Now, what's the difference between those 2 people? And the first thing that comes to mind is attitude, right? But how do we create our attitude? By what we think, which leads to what we say, and then leads to the actions that we take. Isn't that true? So here's my point. 2 people, exactly the same room. The only difference is what they're thinking, what they are then saying, and what they are then doing as a result of their thoughts, words, and actions. Does that make sense? So we are creating our reality all the time. And so we need to really get control of our thoughts. And we've been programmed to believe certain things since we were little children that end up being detrimental to us achieving, accomplishing, and being able to have the things that we desire in our lives. So we've got to become more conscious of our thoughts, more conscious of the things we say, and more conscious of the things we do, to identify the thoughts, words, and actions that are not supporting us in where we want to go. So we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, because obviously some of the thoughts you have, the things you say, and the things you do are helping you. But we want to identify those that aren't. And so I have a little story here I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to give you an assignment or a dare that's going to help you in that endeavor. A number of years ago, back in the 1980s, there was an epidemic in Africa, in Central Africa, where people were imbibing through the water supply a parasite called the guinea worm. And this was devastating to the African people because it was causing them to, whenever they ate or drank anything, that they could not get any nutrients from the water or the food that they were eating and drinking. And so people became very weak. They couldn't go out to farm the lands, and hundreds of thousands of them ended up dying. And so Jimmy Carter started a foundation called the Carter Foundation to see if they could identify a solution to get rid of this guinea worm and give the African people their lives back. Well, what happened was they actually came up with a solution. But the next problem was, how could they communicate this to the masses in Africa? Jimmy Carter's very famous here in the United States, but not many people knew who he was in Africa. So he knew that he had to find the help and enroll the help of someone who the African people admired, would listen to, and follow through on using this simple system to eradicate the guinea worm from their lives. And they found a gentleman called General Yakubu Gowon, who was the former president of Nigeria and a general. And the masses really admired the general. And so Jimmy Carter went over and met with him and asked him if he would be prepared to come and talk to the people and explain how they could eradicate the guinea worm from their lives. And of course, he agreed to do that. And they had this huge celebratory day. And the general came and addressed the African people. And he said, we have great news. How would you like to eradicate the fiery serpent from your lives forever? Because that's what the African people called the guinea worm. They called it the fiery serpent. And of course, they all were excited and said, oh, yes. So he sent a group of people out to the nearest water supply and had them bring some of the water back. And they would bring the water, they would collect the water in these metal buckets. So they never really looked at the water. And so he had this clear plastic container there, and he poured some of the water into the clear plastic container. And he held it up for them all to see. And it was this sort of yellow, murky color. And then he held up a magnifying glass and explained what it was. And then he had some of the leaders come to the front, and he put the magnifying glass in front of the water, and what do you think they could see? Of course, they could see the guinea worms, right? And they were repulsed by that. And then the general took another clear plastic container, only this time he put a simple filtration system over the top, and he poured the water through the filtration system into the clear plastic container and held it up. And of course, this time the water was clear. He held up the magnifying glass and the leaders looked through it, and of course now what was not there anymore the guinea worm. And then he said to the African people, would it be worth going through a simple filtration system in order to eradicate the guinea worm from your lives forever? And they all said, yes. And then the general said, can you do it? And they all said, yes. But do you think that was enough? No. Because do you think there were people there that were naysayers? Do you think there were people who were skeptical? People who had investment in things staying the same? Of course. And so what they recognized is that they had to enroll the whole community into this process and to hold each other accountable to the point where if a family member, a friend broke the system, didn't use the filtration system, that they had to be prepared to tell on them so that they could not be the reason for the downfall of the whole community and ultimately the African continent. Well, what happened was they implemented the system and people followed along. And now as a result of that, the guinea worm has all but been eradicated from the African continent. They used a purification system, a system which is comprehensive, duplicatable, and produces predictable results. And they had to change their thoughts, their words, and their actions in order to do that. So here's my question for you. Would it be worth going through a simple purification system in order to eradicate the guinea worms that are in your mind? And the guinea worms that are in your mind are the self-doubts, the fears, the limiting ideas and beliefs that have been holding you back, the ideas of fear, scarcity, and lack that are embedded into our minds since we're children and are continued to be embedded through the programming that continues to burst into our lives through the media and through our societies. Would it be worth doing that to create the financial freedom that you deserve? I believe it would, and I believe that you believe that too. The question is, what do you do about it? And so your assignment for this week is to think about what are the ideas, beliefs, the guinea worms that have been holding you back in the past that you want to change, that you want to get rid of. And I want you to write them down. There's power in writing these things down, becoming more aware of them, because when you become more aware of them and see them, look at them, they become weaker and ultimately will dissolve. So your assignment or your dare, your daily active remembering experience for this week, is to take a few minutes and sit down and write out some of the ideas of fear or lack, limiting beliefs about your potential, what's possible for you and what you and your family deserve, and write them out. You'll begin to weaken them and they'll start to dissipate. And later on in future videos, we'll talk about the new ideas that you can adapt into your life to take you on the journey to financial freedom. So remember, knowledge is not power, it's only potential power. Knowledge applied becomes wisdom. One of the wisest men ever to live, Socrates, said that learning is simply remembering. So we've got to dare to be wise, or as the Greeks used to say, saper ord. Thanks for watching.